Hey guys, this is Charlie, and welcome to Outskirts Overland. So I had a I turning this text thing on has been great for me. So I I got a message yesterday from Aaron in Dallas, Texas, and he said I would like to hear you talk about safety and security when traveling slash overlanding with your kids and your family. Well, that's a extremely broad topic. I think I got a few things to cover here that people may or may not think about. So, first, I'm going to touch on safety when traveling, just in general, like safety. So, one thing that I'm very, very aware of, and some of you guys have messaged me even just after my EDC talk and are like, I'm kind of catching your methodology, like your vibe, right? So, when I'm traveling with my family, I never let my kids never go anywhere unless attached to an adult, like physically attached. Even my oldest, she wants to be, independent, but I mean, let's be real here. There's bad people out there. So, like, I've seen you know, tons of stuff. Okay. And I want to make sure my kids are safe from not only, the potentially the worst, just any negative experience. So they're always attached to an adult. That means I may have three kids in a bathroom stall with me. I always have my kids attached. As much as they hate it, nobody goes in the gas station to go to the bathroom by themselves. Period. If it's my daughters, they go in the freaking men's bathroom with me. It's not it just isn't worth what could be, okay? And a lot of times knowing that, I pay attention to places with family bathrooms. Like Pilots have family bathrooms, Loves have family bathrooms, Walmarts have family bathrooms. So that way Kohl's has family bathrooms. And these are all things you could research. Like you could be proactive and be ahead. And the reason I touch on the bathroom is just because naturally you're in a store. It's easy to have your kids on you, but going to the bathroom, it seems to be somewhat of a polarizing topic when it comes to family and kids. I do not let my kids go, even when I have a female with me, they are literally attached, not ever losing eyesight, because the people that do bad things are getting smarter. Okay. So I just wanted to touch on that safety. Secondly, um, as far as safety and travel goes, all of the windows on all of my vehicles are very, very dark. You can't tell if my kids are in my car with me ever. Like, seriously. I tend to think, and I've talked about window tint before, it's such cheap security just from even being a target. Okay? Like, nobody assumes somebody with really dark tint has it to mask their children, to mask their passengers. I do. So that's something to think about too. Like just thinking, just again, this preparedness mindset that I have that I talked about yesterday. I that A lot of you guys were like really, really into wanting to know more about what I think about that stuff. So I have tinted windows. All my kids know how to use the door locks. The windows to all my vehicles are locked, so I don't have a kid accidentally putting the window down and somebody reaching in the car. And I'm talking car in travel, but those are safe travel procedures that I would recommend to anyone. When it comes to safe knowing where my kids are, my daughter has an iPad. I have it tracked on my phone. Don't let your kids out of your eyesight. Now, I do think now I'm going to go to overlanding camping. There's two thoughts here. Like when you're going with your kids and your family at a campground, it's actually, in my opinion, less safe than going out into the backcountry alone and unsupported, because most of the time when you're at a campground, you do find, and I'm not trying to what's the word, profile anybody, but you do find people that will make you, kind of question their integrity, I would say. And not due to just not how do they look, just how they kind of move around, kind of what, like their situation at the campground, like there's a difference between a nomad and a person that's like, it's just different. Okay, guys, I hope you're catching my drift. Like campgrounds can be dangerous just because they're a place where you're not going to get bothered by the police to live for an extended period of time. and they're not expensive as rent on a house. Okay, like, and does that mean that those are bad people at all? No, it doesn't. But I have had experiences at campgrounds that lead me to believe they're less than trustworthy people. So, same exact things apply to campground. Like, kids don't leave my site. So that means that, like, if they're going to play, it's not like go ride your bike. Like, it just isn't. I'm with them. And, because the cost of the complacency there is just too great. And we just don't, it's not the 80s and 90s anymore. Like, people aren't just inherently, not everybody in the community as a whole is looking out to be a good parent to your kid, be a good adult to your kid. So the same thing applies to campgrounds. Now, when I'm out overlanding, my kids get a little bit longer, get a little bit more space, but there is other extremely huge safety risks, knives, fires, animals potentially. Obviously, even with kids, I think my kids would argue that tick bites are a safety concern. Ticks are a safety concern. Mosquitoes, all those things are a safety concern. I think the best thing that I do, and I don't do all the best things. I'm not like super dad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I got all the best ideas, but I might have a different thought process than some of you. I just teach them about stuff, and I announce things. So, for instance, um, when I'm doing something with a chainsaw, I let them know, no matter what they're doing. Hey, I'm gonna go cut wood with the chainsaw. If you need me, find a way to get my attention from far away. I do the same thing with the lawnmower at home. Like, find a way to grab my attention without coming close to me. I announce that. If I'm opening a knife, hey, take a step back. I'm opening a knife. When I open a box, when I do anything, so batoning wood, axing, chopping, and then I let them know, hey, here's these tools. And I do this with all dangerous tools. So let that your mind go where it goes with that. If you ever want to know anything about it, let me know. If you ever want to know anything about it, let me know and I'll show you. So that's where I go with that. I so let me know. I got it back now. So let me know and I'll show you. I'll always take my kids and show them something. I'm not going to be like, I don't want to make it novel and potentially lead to them being curious outside of me. So anytime they're like, I want to look at that, I'm like, okay, let's look at that. I make it a positive. I make them think I'm excited about teaching them about it. I teach them about it. That's any dangerous thing. Okay. Like, and then I try to let them, learn it. Like when it comes to batoning wood, I won't let my kids hold the big batoning knife, but I will help them beat it with the mallet, like to teach them about it. Like, here's how you beat that down with the backside. Here's how you put the knife in and beat it to baton. I work them into learning these things at a slow rate. So that way that they're familiar with it and familiar with the dangers of it. And they think I'm excited about teaching them how to use it correctly so that we don't have accidents. Same thing with fire starters, lighters. They know it's hot, it'll hurt you. I show them like for instance, like I show them how fast stuff burns. Light a fire starter and hold it. Hey, this is hot. Use the torch. Like I burn hair off my hand. See that? That'll hurt. Like I show them these things so that they're aware of the dangers. And that's my safety approach when it comes to being in the backcountry with my kids. Like, hey, this could be dangerous. Make sure you're paying attention. Look for this, look for that. You know, Now, when it comes to security, okay, guys, security, and I'll go back to, and I talk safety, okay, safety, security when I'm traveling. Um, and you said traveling overland, Aaron, so I'm gonna cover both. Like hotel room, I'm on the bed closest to the door. I'm very familiar with what floor I'm on, where the exits are, where the elevators are. Curtains are always closed, but kids are always distance further from the door than myself. Okay. That's an instance where I typically carry a pistol. The pistol is also closer to the door, not the kids. Same thing applies with that. Stay away from it. Education, knowledge, understanding. Okay. Um, I make sure my kids don't open doors. If somebody knocks on the door, they get an adult. They don't answer the door. They don't go to the door. They don't talk near the door, because anybody that's looking to harm a child can identify that a child's in there just by sound. Your kids can make it very obvious. Your kids can make it obvious they're in there, right? Like, try and keep your kids paying attention to adult first, adult first, adult first. And it's not because you want to be a controlling person, it's for safety. So also explaining to them, kids these days are taught, you know, adults are good, inherently. Well, that's not the truth. So I make sure that my kids are aware that there are good guys, but there also are bad guys. And what we got to be skeptical of is the bad guys. So not everyone, we almost assume everyone is a bad guy until they're a good guy. We don't assume they're a good guy and then find out they're a bad guy. In my house. So that's very, like, they don't answer doors at the house. Um, like, ever, period, never. I also, even to another level, like, my kids have a place they stand when the door gets knocked on. That's less advantageous for gunfire if somebody was to just knock on the door and then start blasting through the door. Now I have a little bit different life experience than some of you, so that might be a little far or outside your comfort zone or even your knowledge or ability. Okay. That's what it is. But my kids, I take it very seriously. They know I take it seriously. I don't get angry about it, but it's very serious. So that's how I handle traveling hotels. Always, again, kid attached. Kid attached. If my kids go to the bathroom, bathroom's usually closest to the door in a hotel. I kind of go over there with them. Like, hotels are public, so they're more prone to, you can take a flipper, guys, and I just don't want to get too tactical with you guys, but, like, a flipper is a device that, a hotel's going to have key cards across the whole place. Everybody knows that. You know that, I know that, everybody knows that. A flipper, when you do your key card, somebody in a room over on the same network can scan that card, and now they can gain access to your room with a simple, like, a hacker with a very simple device can do that. Like I said before, they can do it with your car keys. They can do it with your garage door openers. So stuff like that is just, pay attention. I don't have anything in my house that's worth it to me, so I don't care. Take my car, whatever. Do what you do. I got insurance. My kids, I don't have insurance on. I can't just get another, kid. So handle that differently. And I also don't want to be in a situation where I'm trying to defend myself and eliminate a threat that has my kid. That's I'm a little more attached to that than, you know, another scenario, unfortunately, other scenarios where, there's some acceptable amount of collateral damage to eliminate something, to diffuse a situation on myself and someone else potentially. That's not an option with my kids. And also, I don't want them to be so scared that they don't want to go out into the world. So I just try to stay positive and stay educating them on those things. Now, security when I'm overlanding. Okay, so my kids don't ever get out of the tent by themselves. And so we have, like, language, like, so I know that they need me, that they want me. My kids' tent is closest to my ladder on my rooftop tent. Um, and I usually don't have all the kids in a tent. I usually have it split. In the best case scenario, there's an adult with each tent. Again, adults go a long way, and so there's an adult with my kids. Sometimes they're all up in the rooftop tent with me, and then again I let them know, hey, here's this, here's that. If you have a dog is a very, very good early warning sign. A well-trained dog, and your dog can help a lot. Actually, a dog is a great use tool for security. Also, and I have friends that do this, and it works great. If you have any rack or anything like that, you can put a solar powered trail cam anywhere. Like, you can put that on, like, wrap it on any different places of your vehicle, suction cup it on, whatever. You want to try and make it inconspicuous, but those will also track like what's going on through your camp at night. I have had friends that have had people walk through their camps and different things. I have friends that used to hammock camp that no longer do due to trail cams picking up people going through their tent. And they're like, yeah, I'm just asking to be stabbed in this sleep burrito. So they now sleep in a rooftop tent or, stuff like that. My rooftop tent isn't soft, it's aluminum, like that you can't just, I'm going to know you're coming. You know what I mean? And I am always aware of that. So you could also do, I've brought it up before, motion, like just like your garage, you could do motion detected lights in places. So when people walk by, lights go on. Typically, if something's lit or made aware that they're there, it's a little more deterring. So that's how I handle security. I definitely have all those things. Um, Hopefully never need to use them, but a pack of 2 or 3 solar powered trail cams in exchange for your safety, matters. Again, as far as safety is concerned, obviously Zoleo is a piece of safety equipment. I always tell someone back home, send them my location. I'm here. I'm safe. This is where I'll be all night. I'll let you know when I get up in the morning. Every single solitary day and night, somebody knows where I stopped. Always. I always, 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 always. Somebody knows where I stopped. That's just the way it is. I think that's freaking necessary. Okay. I share my location with people too if they have iPhones, like so they can see where I'm even, like they can kind of track me to know if I'm not headed any longer headed where I was headed. So, all things, excuse me, all things that matter. Teach your kids to yell if they need help, not just be quiet. Teach them to scream. That's not ideal in, Walmart when they want a toy, but it's ideal in safety and security scenarios, you know. Um, but again, a dog, trail cams, motion lights, those are all going to help with the security of your camp for sure. I also don't camp a lot of times with other people. So that means if I'm hearing something, it's somebody that maybe shouldn't be there. But again, so there's some big animals out there, so they're going to sound different too. Um, and you got to make sure you're taking into account safety and security from the wildlife. So that leads me to bear spray, guns, air horns, education. Like for kids, I think probably the biggest thing for safety from wildlife you got to be concerned about is teaching them how to handle if they approach a snake, if they approach, wildlife, and then teaching them to make sure they actually clean up their trash. Cleaning up your trash is huge. Like, so like if they're in the tent, like I don't let them be eating in there. Like, cause that they could leave crumbs outside. Next thing you know, they got coyotes, squirrels, raccoons, anything, and that could scare them. Like you just don't want to create a bad experience. So making sure that like this is where we eat, this isn't. This is how we clean it up. This is where it goes. Here's why we do that. Um, and I let them take part in that. Like I think I've mentioned it to you guys before, but I bring peppermint, like essential oil spray. And if I have any, like, so my kids don't always eat all their food. I think that's everybody's kids. Like, so they have leftovers but you want to throw those in the trash can. I always take the flap of like my trasharoo and spray it with peppermint, and that kind of masks the scent. That's pretty well known in the backcountry from raccoons and squirrels and different things. It kind of masks it, and they don't like that scent, so it usually kind of deters them a little bit. And my kids like really like to do that. Like, oh, I want to spray the stuff, Like, okay, cool. Like, cool. Here's why you do that, because this can happen, and then maybe even show them a video of like, a bear tearing up somebody's you know, car because they want the, peanut butter pretzels on the inside. Like they really want it. They're hungry. They don't have the access to stuff like we do. Um, so just paying like just all of those things are safety and security measures that I take. I couldn't even probably off the top of my head cover them all immediately, but that pretty well sums up what I can think of off the top of my head, Aaron. Hopefully that covers some of your thoughts, but just again, I'll say it, and anybody that is a Anyways, you'll know if you know. Complacency kills. Don't just assume you're safe. Don't just assume everything's all right. Typically, you're traveling to new places and exploring, which means you don't know about it, which means you should be skeptical. And just, you want to have a good time, you want to relax, but also kind of have the thought process of, I don't know this place. It's not your home, it's not your neighbors, it's not, so you don't know. That's another reason why I say safety and security on X off road. It shows you where, and I'm not trying to plug Onyx. I don't do anything with them, but it just shows you public and private land. Big piece of safety, don't be on somebody's private land, because then you're in a real conundrum, okay? Because they have the right to do this and you just don't want to get hurt. Paying attention to where you're at and who owns it kind of thing, making sure that is huge. You do not want to roll up on some old farmer's private land and just the whole I didn't know. Like, they don't know you either. They don't know if you're telling the truth or lying. Like, that's not a good scenario to be in. So also making sure you're on legal public trails. If you're on anything private, you're allowed to, just like hunting. Don't be out there and you're not supposed to. It's a huge piece of safety and security for everybody involved. Um, Again, when it comes to safety and security when wheeling, my kids are familiar with stuff, like staying buckled up, don't unbuckle yourself, um, keeping the windows up, stuff like that. Knowing if I need them to exit, how they need to exit the vehicle, having a first aid kit. I've got a band-aids, boo-boos first aid kit, and I got an injury first aid kit. So essentially I have first aid and trauma. One's like Tylenol, Advil, Band-Aids, Neosporin, alcohol peroxide, whatever, you know, that you might need there. The other one's like somebody actually got hurt. Um, and the ability to call for help again, whether that's satellite on your phone, satellite system, something of of that nature, and knowing enough, you know, I'll get into March, I guess, March and TCCC, which are ways to handle situations with injuries and how to assess them, because you also like those security things, they don't know you're there, they're not watching for you to be there. So if you call for help, SOS, whatever, you've got to be able to keep somebody stabilized enough to give the professionals a chance to get there, or to get this person to a professional. Stabilization is huge. You can do that as an individual. I think that's worth it. I think if you're buying a freaking rooftop tent and not first aid and recovery training, you're already behind the curve. Those are things you should be looking into and learning about first. You don't get a car. You don't go buy a brand new car, then take it out and learn how to drive. Okay? Like, you got to learn how to drive. There's a process. You do that in most states, you get a permit. You got to drive with a parent. There's instruction. Like, now we're adults and we can go out in the backcountry with our kids and put them in what we don't even realize, the dangerous situations, and we don't even have the training to keep it safe fish. So make sure you're just be smart, okay? If these are things that you didn't know about, the next thing you need to be doing is looking at how to train you and your kids to best, you know, to best understand how to be safe. Just like tread lightly. Like, everybody says first aid, everybody says this, everybody says that, but saying it doesn't do you any good. You need to learn it, you need to know it, you need to understand it, you need to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And for sure within your family, that's implementable. I am positive of that. And if you go with other people that aren't implementing it, make sure your kids know, like, not my monkey, not my surface, not my monkey, not my circus. I say that all the time. Like, that's them, that's their kids. They do what they do. Okay. That's not what we do. And that's not because we're better or worse or anything. That's just, we're different. They have a different last name than us. We're obviously different. Like, we're just different. Like, we do this. They can do whatever they want. It's not wrong for them to do whatever they're doing. It's just not what we do. And that's how I explain things. And I make sure my kids are very aware. Like, I'm serious. Like, this isn't, I'm not joking. You're not in trouble, but like, it is serious. It's important. This is important. Like, it matters. And I take that approach with anything that could hurt anybody, anything that could hurt you. Now, if it's whatever, it's throwing rocks in the water. I don't particularly want them doing throwing sticks in the river, but it's not like life or death. I'll just be like, hey, don't do that. Not like it's not like you're gonna get hurt or don't step that. Like mitigate. Hopefully, you guys get it. You're parents. I'm a parent. Like again, I have different life experiences than some of you, but like you still get it. Like you're an adult, be an adult when it's necessary. But also making sure your kids understand like I'm serious, announcing I'm getting out a knife, I'm getting this, don't touch this. If you want to do anything with this, I will teach you, I will show you, making it available to them, but not that it's so novel that they're going to want to go, oh, I can't let dad know I want to play with that, so I'm going to play with it behind his back or explore it behind his back, want to keep them up front. So hopefully that covers it, Aaron. That's what comes to mind. That's what your topic brings to mind for me. If I missed the mark on that, write me again. I will touch on it again. Anytime somebody writes me a topic that they think is a good topic to talk about, and I haven't already discussed it, I mean, it's usually coming hot down the pipe soon. So hopefully that catches you all. And happy Tuesday. I don't know what national day it is. I totally spaced on that again. Sorry, guys. I will. God, I got to be better about that. It's new. I'll get it. I'll talk to you guys later. Get outside, have fun, be safe.